Hi, Living Faith family. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening on Maundy Thursday. The word Maundy is actually a Latin term which means commandment or mandate. And this is the day, this Thursday of Holy Week, that we celebrate Jesus in a few different things. Some of the key parts of our faith come from this one evening in Jesus' life. First, it's Holy Communion. This is where he instituted the rhythm, the pattern of remembering Christ on a regular basis. And if you think about it, this is something that Jesus instituted that's been done for 2,000 years by over 1 billion people all around the world. And then some of the other big things is this was Jesus' final teaching before the cross. It was also a celebration of Passover, and it was a time to where Jesus taught about loving one another. And you have the high priestly prayer where Jesus prayed, letting his heart really be displayed, saying, Lord, I pray not just for my disciples, but for all disciples, that they would love one another and that they would be unified. And that's his heart. It's a big part of his heart. And yet, another big part of Maundy Thursday is Jesus demonstrating to his disciples and to us today, 2,000 years later, that the greatest in the kingdom is that of a servant. And Jesus showed that through foot washing. I remember when I was a boy, I would often play out in the mud with my brothers and my friends, and before we were allowed inside the house on the nice clean carpet, we would have to stand in front of the in the front yard and be hosed off and hosed down because there was just so much on us. And I still get pretty dirty when we go out pressure washing. It's about the only time I get that dirty. And I kind of do the same thing where I take a shower immediately. I have a special place for those clothes because they're so nasty, and those get washed separately from everything else. And those are getting that dirty is kind of rare especially for adults. For kids, it's still pretty normal. But the reality is the disciples lived, and their feet went through all kinds of dirt and mud and sometimes feces. I mean, it was not as sanitary as it is today. And so their feet were grungy. They were nasty. And so this passage that we just listened to from John chapter 13 is really a powerful picture of servanthood. Jesus said in other places that, I did not come to be served, but to serve and to give my life as a ransom for many. And in Philippians 2, it says that of Jesus, that he came as a servant and became obedient, even to death on the cross. And so we see a beautiful picture of servanthood and humility in Jesus. And when we look at John chapter 13, verse 14 to 15, Jesus said, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." And in our tradition, we usually on this day we'll have a foot washing service, and so something tangible that we do that's very powerful and beautiful. But in addition to the tangible, real foot washing, what Jesus is really getting at is a lifestyle of foot washing, a lifestyle of servanthood, of humility, of loving others. And in my life, I can think of many examples where I've been served by someone else, where they've blessed me. Probably one of the greatest examples for me was 10 years yesterday. Was an anniversary for my family of when my father and my younger brother Ben were in a severe car accident, and they were almost killed. My brother actually had a heart attack in the accident. Later he had open heart surgery. He broke his pelvic bone. My dad broke his arm. He broke 9 ribs and some other issues as well. And I got a call late at night, and about this accident. I didn't know, if they were going to make it or not. I knew nothing except, come to, as soon as you can. So pretty soon, I mean, it was pretty late, but within a few minutes, I had phone calls, I had texts, I had emails, I had people coming to my house just to check on me, see if I was okay and what I needed. And people, offering money, miles, right to the airport, anything, and within just a little while, my boss at the time, David Carroll, he actually booked a ticket for me, and he called me up and he said, Matthew, I'm sending you to California. I was living in Texas at that point, working at a ministry, and he said, I'm going to send you for 3 weeks. If you need more time, no problem at all, no pressure at all. I'll take care of your responsibilities. Don't think about anything here. Just be there and go serve your family. And so the next morning he took me to the airport and sent me on my way. And then when I was in California, we had family and friends and so many people that were serving us, that were loving and blessing us. And even when I was there, I was scheduled to move from my apartment where my roommate Nathan was getting married and kicking me out. I totally understand that. And so I was moving into a small studio apartment. And so when I returned, it was such a weird thing. I returned, got picked up from the airport, taken back to this person's home, and they had my pickup truck. So I just picked up my truck and I drove to my new apartment. And it was all set up. I didn't really have to do much of anything. And it was just a great example to me of someone, really a group of people that were serving me in a time of real need. And that's the type of attitude that the Lord wants us to have. And many of us do such a great job doing this. I've seen so many examples from you at Living Faith of servanthood, of thinking of others above yourselves, above ourselves. And so I want to encourage us to continue in this heart. And, a lot of times we get to a point where we don't feel like serving. Maybe we don't have the motivation to love and to serve others. And so the real key is to set our eyes on Christ, to remember Him, to remember His example. And that gives us a motivation to love and to serve others. And also transformation of our hearts, our souls, our minds happen as we gaze upon Christ. And we allow Him to transform us. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians that we're transformed from glory to glory as we gaze upon Christ. And so, as we've read and after I finish, I'm going to show you a little video of a beautiful song talking about community and servanthood, and showing a video of Christ washing His disciples' feet. I want you just to really soak that up and to really meditate on Jesus and on what a servant he was and is today. He's still washing feet. He's still blessing and serving others, and he's cleansing us and rescuing us. And so in addition to this verse, the last verse I want to share with you is John chapter 13. Towards the end of the chapter, Jesus gave this new commandment. And this is the mandate that Maundy kind of refers to, is a new commandment I give to you. Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. We talk about this often, but the key to world evangelism is love, is radical love for one another and for those around us. And so let's encourage one another towards loving good deeds. And when we don't feel like we have the love to give, we need to go and spend time alone with the Lord and spend time in community, soaking up love and to be able to give that to others. So I pray that this Holy Week continues to be something that's special for you, that you can, the Lord can use this time to grow and develop you. And this season where we have the coronavirus, this pandemic craziness happening, it's a weird time. It's unprecedented, and it's an opportunity for us as believers to love one another and to love those in our community. So just be on the lookout for opportunities to serve someone. Maybe it's giving some money or making a phone call or sending an email. Maybe it's picking up groceries, whatever it may be. Look for those opportunities and be a vessel that the Lord can use to serve you or to serve others. Excuse me. So I look forward to being with you again tomorrow. We'll have a Good Friday service, short and sweet, and we're going to get to hear from our brother Myron. The Lord's been doing a really good work in his life the last few years, and I just want to give him an outlet to share what the Lord's been speaking to him and doing in his own life. So God bless you richly as you focus on Jesus. Bye.